All right, for today's explainer, we're jumping into a story that feels like it could have been written yesterday. It's about big dreams, cold, hard reality, and the letters sent between them. You've got this guy, Mנחem Mendel, who's off to the big city to chase his fortune. And then you've got his incredibly sharp wife, Shaina Schindel, back home trying to keep him from flying too close to the sun. It all kicks off with one heck of a letter. So just imagine getting this in the mail. This is what Mנחem Mendel writes from the huge port city of Odessa. You can just feel the excitement jumping off the page, right? This isn't just optimism. This is a man who is absolutely convinced he's hit the jackpot, that money is literally free for the taking. He is completely hooked. So let's talk about our guy, Mנחem Mendel. He's from Kostrylevka, a tiny, quiet village. And then, boom, he gets dropped into the middle of a massive, chaotic city like Odessa. For a small-town guy, it must have been an absolute sensory overload. But all he sees? Opportunity. He thinks the streets are literally paved with gold. Now, he could have gone into a normal business, wheat, feathers, something tangible. But no, that's boring. That's for schmucks. Instead, he stumbles onto this incredible, mysterious new venture he calls London. And in his mind, this is it. This is the fast track. This is how he becomes a millionaire overnight. So, of course, the first thing he does is write a frantic letter to his wife to tell her all about it. Okay, and this is where it gets really good. The whole story plays out in these letters back and forth. On one side, you have Mנחem Mendel trying and failing to explain this fantastic new business. And on the other side, you have his wife, Shaina Schindel, who, well, let's just say she's not buying it. Not one bit. So what is this London he's talking about? Well, it's what we would call stock market speculation, maybe trading futures. But see, he doesn't have the words for that. So his explanation is just beautiful. It's this magical, invisible stuff that everybody's selling, but nobody has ever actually seen. It's a business made of pure air. And her reply? Oh, it's just perfect. He's going on and on about invisible things and prices going up and down for no reason, and she just cuts right through all the nonsense. She asks the most practical question imaginable. You can almost hear her saying it, can't you? Is any of this even real? So he tries to clarify. He explains something called a konunia, which, literally translates to a scheme. And his explanation, it's a masterpiece of confusion. You read it and you realize, wait a minute. He doesn't even get it. The logic is totally circular, except for one part that's crystal clear: how you lose all your money. Great. And just in case her own common sense wasn't enough, she pulls out the big guns, her mother's wisdom. She keeps quoting these old proverbs, and this one really hits the nail on the head. You can't make something out of nothing. Or if you try to, you're gonna get burned. So does our hero listen to any of these warnings? What do you think? Of course not. In fact, it's almost like the crazier and more confusing it gets, the more brilliant he thinks he is. He's not just a small-town guy anymore. In his mind, he's a budding financial wizard. So he makes his first big move. And he writes home to announce that he's bought, get this, 17 fallers. And a bunch of schemes on top of that. Why 17? Who knows? It just sounds like an impressive number, I guess. He's not dipping a toe in. He's cannonballing into the deep end, totally blind, with nothing but pure, irrational confidence. And from there, it just skyrockets. It goes from 0 to 100 real quick. Soon he's writing about deals involving tens of thousands of pounds. I mean, you have to remember, this is a guy from a poor village. These sums are astronomical. Now, it's all monopoly money at this point, but in his head, he's a titan of industry. This might be my favorite part. He's hanging out at this cafe called Fenconi's, where all the speculators meet. And he actually brags in a letter that he has a new nickname. He's not just Mנחem Mendel from the shtetl anymore. Oh no. Now he is the Rothschild of Kostrylevka. His ego has officially left the planet. But while all of this is happening, while he's becoming a legend in his own mind, let's not forget what's going on hundreds of miles away. Because those letters from the big city, they're landing in a world that is grounded in some very hard, very different realities. And the difference between their two worlds is it's almost tragic, but it's also darkly funny. He's writing about eating fancy ice cream and listening to bands in the park. He's dreaming about the gold watch he's going to buy her. And her replies, "The kids have measles. I need a coat for the winter. By the way, the neighbor got a pearl necklace. And what do I have?" They are living in two completely different galaxies. You can feel her getting more and more frustrated with every letter. She's tried being subtle, she's tried using logic, but it's like talking to a wall. So she lays it out with this killer line, basically saying, "Look, I've tried hinting, but you're not getting it. Now I have to spell it out for you." So her letters just become this broken record. Sell it. Sell whatever this invisible stuff is. Take whatever money you actually have and just come home. Please. She has this deep gut feeling that this whole thing is a fantasy, a house of cards that's about to collapse. But he's in too deep. He's completely intoxicated by the dream. He can taste the victory, the fortune he's about to make. So why would he listen to his wife all the way back in that small town? He's on the verge of greatness, so he ignores her. He doubles down. He goes all in. In his final, triumphant letter, he tells her he's bet the farm. And on what? On a tip from some other guy at the cafe, this Gambetta character, who has a theory about politics and a potential war. If this random guy is right, Mנחem Mendel is convinced he will be rich beyond his wildest dreams. And then, the music stops. The day of reckoning arrives. They call it the Ultima, the end of the month, when all the talk has to stop and all the bets have to be settled with real money. And it's not just a crash, it's a total, complete wipeout. It's not just that the imaginary profits vanished. No, the real money he started with, the dowry, it's gone. Poof! His good Sabbath coat, pawned. The jewelry he'd bought for his wife, sold off to pay debts. Everything. He's left with absolutely nothing. And in that awful, deafening silence after the crash, the bubble doesn't just burst, it evaporates. And for the first time, he sees clearly. He finally admits the truth, and he puts it so perfectly in his letter home. The business wasn't real, the money wasn't real, it was all just a story. So there he is, broke, humiliated, his dreams completely shattered. He's got nowhere to go but home. The story comes full circle. It started with a letter, and now it's going to end with one final, devastating exchange. And that last letter from Sheena Scheindel, wow. It tells you everything about her character. She has every single right in the world to say, "I told you so," but she doesn't. Instead, she shows this incredible grace. She says, "Let the money be a lesson. Let it be an atonement. Now, just hurry up and come home." And then she sends him the money for the train ticket. Unbelievable. And that's what we're left with, this big question. I mean, yeah, Mנחem Mendel was a fool. There's no question about that. But was he the only one? Or was he just another guy who fell for a beautiful, intoxicating story about getting rich quick? A story that the world loves to sell and that, let's be honest, we all find incredibly easy to buy.